Welcome into That Wrestling Show. How's everybody doing? No Mercy this weekend. It feels like a while since we've been here.
It does.
Did they skip a pay-per-view?
No, there was a very, very large gap between SummerSlam and this pay-per-view.
Mercy.
It was like 6 weeks.
You think they would have built to something more? Anyway,
Yeah, right.
I am Mike Wendt. Of course, you NESN viewers know me from Wicked Bites every Saturday morning at 9:30. With me is Liam.
I am Liam Stryker of the New Age Insiders. You can find me on newageinsiders.com and on Twitter and iTunes and all that other fun stuff.
All the fun stuff. Yes, follow us on Twitter because during these pay-per-views,
I think it's going to pop up somewhere around
around here. So follow us on Twitter, of course, at Mike Wendt, at Liam NAI, because during the pay-per-views we live tweet.
Yes,
we
we
take
do.
your comments, your concerns. You tell us how wrong we are about all our predictions. But it's a fun play-at-home version of That Wrestling Show.
Right.
We have in my opinion, No Mercy tomorrow, WWE Network, a two-match show.
Yes. Yes, it's a two-match show. It's a lot of filler.
It is.
It feels like a boxing or MMA pay-per-view.
See, and we'll get there. I like that you went there because that's kind of my point for the main event. But before we get started, last night news broke. News broke on the WWE app. Yes, breaking. The pre-show will be Titus Worldwide's Apollo Crews versus Elias.
Thank God.
Moving on. The Cruiserweight title is going to be up first, I believe, on the show. Neville versus Enzo Amore, the new member of 205 Live.
Yeah. I think this is a good idea to bring Enzo Amore over to 205 Live, especially with Big Cass, getting injured, being out for almost a year. I think that's what the diagnosis was.
I feel it was going to happen anyway.
Right. But getting him over to 205 Live, I think, is going to help drive people to 205 Live. I think that, we've joked about it on this show before, that 205 Live has lost the ratings war to the 1997 Halloween Havoc.
Yes.
So...
Which was a quality WCW pay-per-view.
It was. But if you're losing ratings battles...
To on-demand content.
To on-demand content, you're not doing so great when it's new, when it's fresh. So I think bringing someone like Enzo Amore, who is so polarizing, hot and cold, will... help that division.
Sure.
It'll help that division. It'll help bolster that division. I still think that 205 Live should either be before SmackDown or taped as a part of NXT.
Yeah, I mean, I feel very much the same. It should be a tape show that just runs, much like NXT does.
I think you just do it in Full Sail, the smaller arena, because that's part of it. Perception is reality. GFW could put on great shows, which, sad for them because they're hoping to get 500 people for Bound for Glory, which is their WrestleMania.
Sure.
And that's depressing. But the fact that you see these empty arenas,
Right.
it makes it look like it's a terrible program. And it's the same thing with 205 Live, where the perception is reality, where you see this half-empty stadium after SmackDown, where if you put it in Full Sail, you're going to get the kitschy fan base, you're going to get people that are going to be more on board with what the Cruiserweight product is. If you piggyback it off of NXT instead, you're going to get that smarky fan base.
Plus, they can tape multiple episodes at once, like they do NXT.
Right.
You get that group in there for 3-4 hours, and you knock out a month of shows.
Right, and it's going to feel better.
Right.
It's going to feel better, and I think that that's the next step for the Cruiserweights because Neville is awesome. He is putting on great matches. He is basically fulfilling the promise that he was as NXT champion, and nobody's watching his matches.
Right.
You watch that program that he had with Austin Aries, and it was so good.
It was great. It was fantastic.
It was so good. The matches that he had with TJP, and, hopefully now with Enzo Amore, it's going to see his versatility to be able to work with somebody that's a lot more flash and less substance. And I think that that's what the Cruiserweight division needs, but I think WWE needs to rethink what 205 Live is.
I absolutely agree. I couldn't agree more. And Liam is available to be head of programming for WWE Network, by the way, since we just solved all their problems. I feel Enzo Amore brings...
Tweet at me.
Yeah, exactly. Tweet him. That's a good way to get a job. Enzo Amore brings, like you said, a different style to the Cruiserweights because he's less in-ring, more on mic.
Right.
He's not the flash and the flips like Neville would be.
Right.
He's not the greatest of technicians like some of the guys down there.
Yeah.
But he brings that on mic character that, I don't know. Again, I don't really watch the show. Do they have characters?
Right. They only have a couple, and it's really tough.
As great as Neville is, he's not the greatest of talkers.
Right, and they're built around the in-ring they're built around the in-ring wrestling, and while that's great and that's a ton of fun, you need to have the characters to drive them there.
Right.
Jack Gallagher was really the only character that 205 Live had, and they never really moved forward with it until they got Neville, and then they threw everything on Neville, and Gallagher just kind of got thrown to the wayside. So, you know, it's just...
You want something.
Frustrating.
You want something more for them because they are good workers.
Right. You want to see these wrestlers actually have character and personality and something you can latch onto that's beyond just the flips. You know, because you look at what the Cruiserweight division did in WCW.
But the internet loves the flips.
Right. But WCW, you know, you had Eddie Guerrero and Chris Jericho and Billy Kidman and Rey Mysterio, if I didn't say him. And they were all characters you could invest in. And... it's tough when, you know, it's tough when WWE hasn't really put that emphasis on it.
So, bottom line, Neville or Enzo? Who's going to walk away with the purple?
I feel like Neville has to. I feel like this is just too new for Enzo to come on. I think he's going to. I think he's the next champion. But not right now.
Maybe a bigger show, maybe a Survivor Series or a Royal Rumble.
Royal Rumble.
Probably more Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be kind of where we're at.
Which I'm fine with because I like the long title reigns. And again, we'll get to that in the main event, but I enjoy Neville having this long title reign. I was kind of annoyed when he did the flip-flop thing. Was it last pay-per-view?
Yeah, it was like he lost it the week... He lost
literally
it on...
7 days before.
Right, he lost it the week before and then won it back. And I feel like he's done that 2 or 3 times. And just because you have more doesn't mean it's necessarily better.
I think we need to find out who holds the record for longest reigning cruiserweight because I feel like they're trying to not break that record by doing that. So tweet at us, please. Next match up, Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt. What's your first thoughts on this match?
I really wish we weren't doing this again.
Yes.
That's, you know, we had the first match on Raw prior to SummerSlam, and that seemed like a lot. And then we ended up getting the Demon on at SummerSlam, which was a ton of fun, but then they should have separated. Having them wrestle again, I don't know what we're wrestling for. It doesn't feel like, you know, it felt decisive. It felt like the Demon came out, the Demon returned from, you know, a year prior, because that was the last time we had seen it. And it returned, and then it won. And now I feel like we needed to move on. I feel like there's a little bit of a roadblock at the top right now with Brock Lesnar, and we'll get to that. But, you know...
But there's nothing wrong with having a strong mid-card.
Right. And so I feel like, you know, you look at like the Intercontinental title scene, and that feels like what we should be doing with Finn Balor right now. And having him wrestle Bray Wyatt again just feels like... You know, it'll be fine. It'll be a fun match. It'll be good. We'll probably... I don't know if we'll see a Demon again. We might. We might not. Who knows? But, you know, I think... I'm just...
My gut has a problem with this match because I've liked what they've been doing on Raw. I wanted this match to be Bray Wyatt versus Dustin Rhodes. I felt that they've built a story and done character development with Goldust, Dustin Rhodes, all just to build to Finn Balor run-ins. And it's like, why bother with all the story and the character? And he's now stripped down, and he's Dustin Rhodes. He's not Goldust. He's not wearing the paint. He's
well,
just to get a run-in. It's like that's a lot of work to get to this, and I'd rather see the payoff to that.
And you know, speaking of Goldust, the like protege thing that they dropped was really depressing. You know, there was a lot of promise.
The whole R-Truth story just kind of
evaporated. It
hit the cutting room floor, if you will.
Ooh, very fun. Goldust.
I like it.
He's like a weird.
But that's what I wanted.
Emmy.
Yeah, exactly. He's an Oscar.
He's an evil sexual Oscar.
Yes, exactly. But that's the story I wanted them to tell, and it's so weird to me. I'd rather see Finn Balor. They need to lean one way or the other. They're not leaning hard enough into the Demon. Obviously, it's only been around twice in 2 years. And I feel if they're going to keep referencing Balor Club, they need to make a club. And it's one of my biggest problems with this current product is they don't know how to do stables. Like they start to try, and we've seen it with the Wyatt family a million times. They've formed, they've broken up, they've reformed, they've done this, that. Brian was in it for a while. It was like, just lean into it. Let that stuff just play out.
They also don't, like, they're so afraid to touch somebody else's property, right? And even
Are they?
They are and they aren't. Because it's like, hey, we're going to have the club, and you have the three most important pieces, right?
Right.
You know, I'm going to get super wrestling hipster on this right now. The original Bullet Club is Gallows, Anderson, Balor. That's it. I mean, you can throw in Bad Luck Fale into that as well, but nobody really cares about him. And so you look at that, and that's the heart of the original Bullet Club.
Sure.
You have them.
Yeah.
If you're going to
and they're on the same show.
Right. If you're going to reference the Balor Club, and you're going to touch on the club, and there's, you know, a bunch of different associations of it, just do it. Right? Matt Hardy. Is he broken? Is he not? He says all of these things. He says wonderful all the time.
He's woken.
Is he? Yeah, it's
He's
just
woken.
like either do it or don't.
Get woke.
Get woke. Either do it or don't. Balor, he does the finger gun all the time. And it's just like, guys, just either.
Too sweet.
Just, yeah.
Too sweet.
Too sweet. Either do it or don't. Either do it or don't.
Right.
Just stop teasing it. Stop teasing it because it's really tough to watch because it's so stop and go.
See, it feels to me it's one of those things that feels like there's a few writers in the room that really want to do it, but not enough to really get everybody involved.
Right.
And like, I don't get it. They're a club.
Yeah.
What is this club stuff, pal?
Yeah.
Exact.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
So at the end of the day, what are we thinking here?
I think Finn Balor wins.
Bray Wyatt's going to do what Bray Wyatt does, and that's lose on pay-per-view.
Yeah, lose on pay-per-view. Look good on Look good on.
It'll be a good match.
Yeah, but it'll be fun.
Yeah, but it would have been better with Goldust. At least it would have told a story. At least finished out a story.
Right, it would have finished the story.
Yeah.
And Finn Balor should have been wrestling for the Intercontinental title.
I agree with that one as well. Moving on, Fatal 5-Way Raw Women's Championship. Alexa Bliss, the champion, defending against Nia Jax, Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Emma.
Jeez.
Yeah.
It's just a lot. It's just
There was a lot of, we have nothing for you this month.
Go. I think it's going to be good, though. I think it's going to be good. There's enough talent in that ring that I think we're going to have a very fun match.
Sure.
I think that this is Nia Jax's moment, too. I think that she's going to dominate this match and dominate the four other women. And having her finally ascend to that top monster title.
See, I feel they need to make her that. They need to protect her, keep her strong throughout it, dominate throughout the whole thing. But I feel Alexa Bliss needs to win and push a singles run against Nia Jax, building the Survivor Series for the next month.
Yeah.
I feel that would tell a better story because I'd rather see, instead of Nia Jax pinning Emma,
right.
You know what I mean? I'd rather see an actual, make her destroy everybody.
Right.
And then Bliss comes in with this sneaky little heel thing and steals a win.
Right. You know, I mean, that's definitely.
I mean, we see, obviously, Sasha Banks, Bayley, it's like a placement holder while they wait for the four horsewomen thing.
Yeah.
Which I'm hoping comes at Survivor Series, because as you pointed out last month, that would be perfect, a traditional Survivor Series match.
Right, between the 8 women, between the 4 UFC women, and then the 4 horsewomen.
There you go. Give Emma a chance, hashtag.
I love Emma. I think she's severely underrated. I think that, you know, she was such a great worker in NXT.
Yep.
And then she moved up to the main roster, and she's just been
swallowed
not
connecting.
Up. Right.
That's the problem. Like, she feels like the female Zack Ryder when he was doing the Internet Championship.
Right.
But she's just not connecting for some reason.
And I think it's because...
I think it's the outfit.
It might be the outfit.
The outfit is weird to me.
I think it's also the fact that they just kind of keep tweaking her, right? So you can't really...
You gonna bring up Emelina?
Emelina? That's you know, I mean, let's not talk about the, 8 weeks that was.
Sure.
But
it's a great build.
Yeah, to nothing.
Yeah.
But it's like they keep tweaking her, and even
Sure.
now they brought her back, and she's Emma, and they're tweaking her in her music, and it's just like consistency.
There's
consistency
none.
with her.
There's none with her.
It would go a long way.
So you think Nia Jax is gonna win?
I think Nia Jax is gonna win, just because I feel like it's time. While I would prefer a one-on-one match with Alexa Bliss because I feel like we've ultimately been building towards that, and if Alexa Bliss sneaks out with a heelish win, I wouldn't be shocked. But I think that Nia Jax dominating the field...
That's the most important thing.
Nia Jax dominating the field is the most important for her because she's come into these matches so many times or had these one-on-one opportunities and hasn't been able to overcome and climb that mountain. So, if we're going to make her the monster of this division, she has to win something at some point.
Well, I also feel that she's one of two on this show where I feel that just because they don't walk out with a title doesn't mean they lost the match.
Right.
You can look extremely strong. You can put on an unbelievable performance, and you can be the one they're talking about when everybody's said and done.
Right. Like Braun Strowman last pay-per-view.
We'll get there. Yeah, we'll get there.
Love Braun Strowman.
But yeah, so I feel that Bliss has to win this one and then build to a Nia Jax one-on-one Survivor Series thing.
Right. I think you're right.
And Bayley and Sasha Banks are going to be there, so cool.
Yay. Yay, wacky waving inflatable arm flailing two men.
Exactly. Friends. Best friends. Next up, the Raw Tag Team title. Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose champions against The Bar.
Yeah, I like that they're officially called that now.
Oh, yeah. Finally.
Yeah, you know.
It was better than Shamezaro?
Yeah, Cesaro.
Cesaro?
Cesaro. I think that this match is going to be very good.
Sure.
I think
It'll
that...
be a very functional match.
Right.
It'll get the job done.
Having Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins win is kind of what we're doing.
It can go either way. I mean,
Right.
this match, the outcome, either team, it's really not going to help or hurt either one because they're going to put on a good match.
Right.
Honestly, I mean, as we talked about the bloated women's match,
Yeah.
I would much rather this involve the Hardy Boys and the Good Brothers.
Right.
This should have been the four around the corner thing.
Right, and I was
Fatal
a
four-way,
little
that's what I was
shocked
looking for.
that this wasn't a elimination four-way because it felt like that's what we were doing.
Well, I mean, Hardys and Gallows and Anderson, it's just they're too good to ride the bench.
Right.
On a pay-per-view.
Right, and it just seems like that's what they've been relegated
On a
to.
pay-per-view with Apollo Crews versus Elias
Right.
for your pre-show. Come on. At 7 o'clock, people are still making their pizza if that's the match you're going to put on.
I do like Elias though.
Oh, I do. But
I
that's
like
not the
him.
match to put him in.
Right.
I would have rathered him in the Intercontinental match.
Apollo
than-
Crews is still happy to be here. That's
Very much.
That's what
He's very much happy to be here. I like that the breaking news that we talked about at the top did actually come through the app as Titus Worldwide's Apollo Crews.
Right.
It's no
Right.
longer just Apollo Crews. He has to be branded in
Right.
order to get
He is.
over. It's
He
like,
is.
come on, man.
It's like the Big Baller brand.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
I do think that Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose win because I ultimately, you know what? I called it last show, and I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to hashtag hot take for later on.
All right.
But I think Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose win.
Okay. Fair enough. I mean, like I said, it could go either way. I'm just going to say champs keep the title.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
Fair enough. Next up, Intercontinental Championship, The Miz defending against Jason Angle.
Yeah. I mean, Jason.
Talk about a guy who wasn't ready for the spot he was put in.
Oh my God. I don't understand why we've done it. I like Jason Jordan. I think Jason Jordan and Chad Gable were a phenomenal tag team. I think the American Alpha thing, you know, this is what their issue is within the past 4 years of taking these great tag teams and building great tag teams and getting people excited about tag team wrestling,
Sure.
only to break them up too soon. The fact that Harper and Rowan never won any tag team titles is mind-boggling, right? And you broke them up for no reason because you kept breaking up the Wyatt family.
Well, that goes along with the stable
Right,
conversation
and
we just
so having them, you know, having American Alpha break up, you know, and not wrestle each other or just go their separate ways and just break them up with a weird storyline that involves an illegitimate child, is just weird.
had. I give him an A for effort on trying to do a storyline at the very least.
Right, and this is something that I kind of go back and forth on because on the one hand, I hate that WWE tried with a story, right? They tried with a complex story, but it
There was
wasn't.
a very ambitious writer in that room going, I
got
got
this."
something, boss.
Yeah, right. And so, I applaud them and I want to applaud them and have them keep trying.
Yeah.
Because if they stop trying, then we won't get any stories, and then that's going to be boring. But they get the backlash of, oh, this is stupid, this is dumb.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Night one.
that's going to come from everything.
Yeah, but then it gets buried right away,
Yeah.
and it goes away, and I feel like we haven't really explored this at all since, and now all of a sudden he's got a title match.
I feel, okay, here's, again, I'm going to armchair book this one. They should have put Shelton Benjamin with Jason Jordan.
Right.
That should have been the progression. Kurt brings him in as his son. Oh, and here's my buddy who's going to be your new tag team partner. Because
Right.
then that would set up down the line a Gable Jordan thing.
Right.
Why did you go with him and not with me? And blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. You know what I mean? That would have been.
Right.
And plus, I feel he would have worked better because Shelton can talk.
Right.
And Jason really can't. He's not good on the mic. Great worker. Not really great on the mic. Shelton is. He can do both. So I feel that would have been. Anyhow, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the match at hand. I believe shenanigans abound. The Miz Taraj is going to be all over the place.
Yeah.
And I feel it's somehow going to then bring Kurt Angle out. and he's going to have to insert his authority, and then there's going to be that he's overstepping his bounds, he's showing favoritism because it's his son. Right. I mean, if you're going to tell a story, tell me a story here. You know what I mean? It can't just be a match.
Right. There's got to be a lot of schmaz.
Sure.
So,
but I want The Miz to win. I feel he needs that title, and he's much better with it.
He is much better with it. I feel like he's been like just kind of shoved to the background of Raw,
but every time he's on, he's the one to watch.
Right.
I hate to try to say he's must see, but he really is.
Right. And so bringing him back and putting an emphasis on that Intercontinental title is going to be so important for everything else that this show has going on, especially with the fact that Brock Lesnar is, while he's done better in recent weeks or recent months, being there, having him in and out and not there all the time, it just helps having a solid title. Look at what the U.S. title's done over on SmackDown. Looking forward on, AJ Styles holding that thing makes it must see. And The Miz was doing that on SmackDown prior to moving over, and it feels like they just
he's never going to do an open challenge. We know that much.
Yeah.
Because that's just not the character
right,
he is. He's not a fighting champion.
No.
That's why he's surrounding himself with, the
Miztourage.
The roadie and the lawyer.
I know. It's
I love those two.
They're so funny.
I think they're fantastic.
I love Bo Dallas. I think that Bo Dallas is phenomenal.
He looks like he walks into the local thrift store every day and just buys everything that's $1.
Right.
And then puts all of it on.
Right.
He doesn't edit his clothes at all. It's like, yeah, I'll take 5 of those plastic chains, just put them all on me.
Right. If I wanted to get him and Heath Slater
one
together,
black fingerless glove.
Right. Him and Heath Slater should be a too cool.
For a minute.
Yeah, but a Too Cool-esque tag team. Because the Too Cool was so weird and so dumb and stupid, but fun.
Sure.
And they won 2 tag team titles.
Yeah.
So it's just like you can.
Canada era was a weird time.
It was a very weird time.
A very weird time.
There was a lot of drugs.
So, yes. What's your final thought on the Intercontinental title?
You know what? I feel like Jason Jordan is going to win this, mostly because I feel like that's the way WWE books things.
Sure.
And so I think Jason Jordan's going to come out on top.
Okay. I'm hoping The Miz. I understand your feeling, and my gut's telling me kind of the same thing. I'm just hoping that they don't do that, because that would rush it even more.
Right.
That would push him even further, and I don't think he's ready for that spot yet.
Yeah, and I think it's also a sink or swim situation where it's like, let's give him the Intercontinental title, let's see where this storyline's going, and it's either going to sink or it's going to swim, and we can either move on or we can keep it going. But this weird thing where for the past couple weeks it's just like, we're not going to address this.
So what you're saying is by the Royal Rumble, American Alpha will be back together.
I hope so.
Okay.
I hope so.
Next match, one of 2 of what I feel is going to be match of the night: John Cena versus Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
I have loved this build-up. I mean, the last few angles that John Cena has been in, I feel have been the best of his last 10 years or so.
Yeah.
He's just been talking better. He hasn't been doing the same old John Cena stuff. He's, the work shoot promos that they've been doing are just blistering.
Oh,
he did it with The Miz building up to WrestleMania. Now he's doing it with Roman. It's like, these are fantastic.
Yeah, this is clearly one of those times, because everybody, when they first got in the ring together and had that promo, and John Cena destroyed Roman Reigns and told him, it's a promo, kid.
Right.
You're going to have to learn how to do it.
Right.
Everybody lost their mind.
Right.
And it's good, because if you look at the guys that John Cena has done this type of work with, it was AJ Styles, it was Daniel Bryan, it was CM Punk. Those are the last 3, and then you mentioned The Miz. And all 4 of those are major players in the company. 3 of them are must-see all-time top guys, right? Obviously Punk is gone, Bryan is gone due to injury, and AJ Styles is AJ Styles.
He's on SmackDown.
Yeah, he's on SmackDown. But having that type of John Cena stamp of approval where he takes the kid gloves off, he takes the hokey gloves off, and he really starts swinging with haymakers. This is going to make Roman Reigns better in the end.
Oh, absolutely.
And it really is going to be interesting to see what they do with this, because we all know that Roman Reigns is the anointed one. We know that Roman Reigns is the next guy, at least in the company's eyes. They've now said it on TV. So now the question is, what road did they take? You've already reunited 2/3 of the Shield.
Right.
The rumor is that eventually the 3rd one is going to drop. Sure. Does it drop in this match? Is this the one where, they come in and Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins come in and help Roman Reigns win this thing. Because
I don't think this is the match, though.
It might be.
I don't think this is the match.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think this is the match for that one. I feel, for me, it's one of those things, like you said, this is going to make Roman Reigns even better. But what I've always found about these two, and the contingent of you can't wrestle folk are going to disagree with me. But when they're put in the spotlight, when they're put on a pay-per-view match, these two deliver.
Right.
I mean, go watch Roman Reigns pay-per-view matches and tell me they're not good.
Right.
Tell me he can't work. I dare you.
It's unfairly to Roman Reigns.
John Cena went toe-to-toe with CM Punk in one of the best matches they had.
Yeah, John Cena, the fact that John Cena can't wrestle is a dumb internet misnomer because it's
just fun to say.
It's fun to say, and you can't.
Fun to boo.
Right, it's fun to boo. But it's the same thing with Roman Reigns. His matches have all been good, with the exception of that Undertaker one, which that's what's going to happen when you
can't always help that.
Yeah, when you wrestle a 50-pound heavy back.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's just God.
It is what it is.
Right. But having Roman Reigns going night in, night out, put in consistent work, put in good consistent work. Don't look now, but the fact that Roman Reigns helped Braun Strowman get over and put him in those positions has made Braun Strowman the star that he is. Right. So whether you want to admit it or not, the Roman Reigns experiment is working.
It is working.
It's just not working the way you want it to work. And by you, I mean you.
Very good. So who do you think comes out of this?
I think that Roman Reigns comes out of this with help from Seth and Dean.
See, I think Roman's going to win. I don't think that's the match just yet to put them back together. If it is, they have to lose the titles, I feel.
See, no, they keep the titles, and that's now Roman Reigns.
Oh, you think it's going to go that way?
On the path.
The new horseman?
Yeah.
Ooh, did he just say that? I think Roman Reigns wins. I don't see a lot of shenanigans in this match. I think they're going to put on a very physical, a very good, a very personal feeling match. And I think Roman Reigns is going to come out because that's the story that we're telling.
Right.
John Cena's going to go do another movie.
Right.
It's the Rock Cena thing.
Well, and that's why I think that Seth and Dean.
I thought it was great they referenced that.
Yeah, I think that's why Seth and Dean help, because I see a triple powerbomb coming through the announce table.
You don't think they saved that for whatever happens in Survivor Series?
No.
Being that isn't that like an
anniversary?
That's
the anniversary, yeah. But okay. I think that the three of them will wrestle together at Survivor Series, and that's the anniversary.
There we go. Finally, main event, Universal title.
Oh my God.
Brock Lesnar, the champion, defending against your boy, Braun Strowman.
I love Braun Strowman.
Tell him about the T-shirt. Go ahead.
Braun Strowman. Yeah, here's the deal. I'm trying to get this T-shirt made. It's just that like Uncle Sam, we want you.
We want you.
Yeah, that. But it's just Braun Strowman pointing, saying, "I'm not finished with you," and that's all I want.
That's month 5. We're still waiting for the T-shirt.
Yeah, still waiting. WWE, please make it. That's what I want. I want that. I want that shirt. I'll buy 3. If it's in different colors, I'll do it. I don't care. I'll buy it for everybody for Christmas.
It's one of those, take my money now.
Yeah, just take my money because I love Braun Strowman.
Okay.
They have done such a great, absolute phenomenal job of building this man. This time last year, we sat and people were saying that Braun Strowman might wrestle The Undertaker, and everybody rolled their eyes, and everybody, complained and moaned, and, they hated it.
Sure.
Right? Now we sit here a year later, and I want Braun Strowman to win the Universal title more than I want anything else. I feel like Brock Lesnar has done a great job at doing what Brock Lesnar has been designed to do.
Right.
And that's sort out this new main event scene because they have a lot of people, and a lot of people aren't ready yet. They're just not fully cooked as main eventers yet. So you throw it on Brock Lesnar, who is a borderline all-time top 5 guy. He's a Hall of Famer. He's phenomenal. But, you give it to him so that he can hold on to it while we sort out the rest. Right. Braun Strowman has emerged as, in the same way that Brock Lesnar did in 2002, right?
I'm just a little shocked because this is a lot of praise on Brock Lesnar coming from you, and this is like the first time in 6 months I've heard this from you.
Right. I know, huh? Shocking, right?
Yeah.
I
was looking for the shovel. Usually you bury him on this show.
I know, but this is more of how I really feel about Brock Lesnar.
Okay.
But that being said, I think that Braun Strowman has a chance to ascend to another level. He is extremely popular.
Yep.
He is wrestling at a pace that is very Brock Lesnar-esque. And for him to beat Brock Lesnar and carry that title is something that I think that he's ready for, and something that I think he should, the company should seriously consider. We know that Roman Reigns is waiting in the wing to face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania.
True.
And I hope that this is the one match and the one guy that can derail that plan, because you could still have Roman Reigns in the main event to face Brock Lesnar. There's a lot of unfinished business there. The last time those two interacted, Roman Reigns tried to murder Braun Strowman. That's what happened.
Sure.
And so there's a lot of unfinished business there. So if you insert, Braun Strowman instead of Brock Lesnar, then I'm on board. I feel like we have to move on from the past, and eventually you have to rip that Band-Aid off. And the next Brock Lesnar is now standing across the ring from Brock Lesnar. Having him throw the Big Show through a steel cage was awesome.
Right.
They're hitting all of the top moments for a monster. The only thing I think he hasn't done yet is cartoon comically wrapped a steel beam around somebody. That's the only thing he hasn't done. If he throws another luxury office chair at somebody like he's tossing a Nerf ball, I'm going to lose my mind.
Right.
But that's how I feel about it.
Now, that's what you want as the outcome of the match.
That is.
What does your gut tell you?
Brock Lesnar's going to win.
Thank you.
Brock Lesnar's going to win, and now this is where,
Okay, so here's my thought on the match. This is what we were talking about, much like Nia Jax, and much like he was at SummerSlam. Just because you don't leave with the title doesn't mean you lost the match.
Right.
I feel they're going to make Braun Strowman look like the monster that he is. He's going to destroy Brock, I feel, for most of the match. But the character that they've built for Brock Lesnar is he's a fighting champion, and a champion finds a way to win.
Right.
I feel they're going to keep running, and yes, we all know that the Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, WrestleMania thing, but that doesn't need a title.
No.
That's the Undertaker story. That's not a title story.
Right.
So I feel that he's going to get it all the way probably to around Royal Rumble.
Right.
And I also feel No Mercy is the place for Brock Lesnar to change titles with Braun Strowman. That's nothing. On a card like this, I don't feel it, even though it's the match of the night. Like you said, it feels very much like a UFC type of night where it's an undercard. But you're still making your drinks, you're cooking your pizzas, you're doing all this stuff, you're chit-chatting with friends, and all of a sudden the main event comes on about 1 o'clock in the morning, and you're like, hey, let's wake up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and that's kind of how they've built Brock Lesnar.
Right.
He's been a fighting champion. What I do like about his title reign, and I know you've had your problems with it, he doesn't show up, he doesn't defend all the time, blah, 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 blah. It might be a little bit too old school of me. But I remember a time where the title was only defended on the big pay-per-views.
Right.
That's what this feels like. Brock, you spend the months building up, you get the number one contender, then the champ shows up, defends his title, win, lose, rematch, whatever. It saves it from all the flip-floppiness that we get on Raw. It would save it from the Neville situation or the Sasha Banks situation where she wins but then she loses, wins and loses. It's like...
Yeah.
I love long title reigns. I really do.
Right.
And I feel the way they've done it, especially in the last few months, as you said, he's gotten better. He's shown up a little bit more.
Right.
And when he needs to sell a match, Brock and Paul sell the hell out of a match.
Right. And that's kind of where my issues have shifted.
Sure.
My issue isn't necessarily, it was misguided towards Brock Lesnar because he's shut me up over the past few months because he's put on great
because he's shown up.
He's shown up. He basically all of my issues that I had leading up to when he had the program with Joe.
Yeah.
Right. He showed up. He got physical. He built the program. He made Joe look good. Then going on to SummerSlam, he made all three of those other men look good. He elevated Braun Strowman to that next level. He's going to do it again.
He's done it with the build here.
Right. He's done it with the build here.
He's let Braun throw him around.
Right. And it's going to be great. And he's going to elevate Braun to another level, the level that he really needs to be at. So my issue has shifted because it's no longer about Brock Lesnar, because Brock Lesnar has done the things that I was angry about.
Right.
And now it's the Roman Reigns roadblock that I have an issue with. The fact that Brock Lesnar can walk into this match knowing full well that we're not going to... He doesn't legitimately have a chance to lose this match because he's going to lose it to Roman at WrestleMania. And that's where my issue is now.
I don't believe he's going to have a title going into WrestleMania.
I didn't think that.
I believe Roman might cost him the title building into WrestleMania.
Yeah, I just think that, this is the way WWE does things. Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg didn't need the title.
Bring reality
either.
into the show.
I know, but it's like this.
Logic.
This is the way the WWE books things, where it's like you look at it and it's just like, well, we're gonna have an ice cream sandwich on top of a brownie, on top of a sports car, on top of a grilled cheese sandwich, on top of an airplane, on top of a blam.
It sounds delicious.
Yeah, right. And that's how they're gonna do things, where it's like Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, the only two men to defeat The Undertaker for the WWE Universal title at WrestleMania. It's like that. Well, that's
You got my money.
That's why.
You got my money there.
Yeah, I know, but that's why they do things, and that's why it's going to have the title.
Well, all right.
And unfortunately, Braun Strowman won't have it, and that's a mistake.
Well, see, I don't agree it's a mistake.
No, because Braun Strowman can still throw people through sets.
Exactly.
Without a red
And
foot
at
belt.
this very moment in his run, I don't believe Braun Strowman needs the title. I believe he's doing well enough on his own, destroying people, without the need of, he's a champion, we got to wait for a #1 contender. Personally, I like Braun on the hunt more than I do him waiting for someone to come to him.
Right.
That right now, that's how I feel. Maybe in a few months, I'll feel differently, and I'm like, all right, put the title on.
Right.
Get him the title.
I also think that this thing ends in like a weird no contest.
It very well could. They could knock each other out.
Yeah,
they could knock. I mean, it's not a no DQ type of match.
No, so they're gonna.
They start throwing stairs around.
Yeah,
right. We might have an issue.
It's gonna be a classic monster movie battle.
I can't wait. I love it.
It's gonna be great.
That's gonna be, like I said, the two matches at the end are going to be the matches of the night.
Right.
For two completely different reasons.
Right.
One's telling a very personal story that's going to elevate someone that the audience doesn't really want, but they're going to see it's going to work. The other one's just going to be violent.
Yeah, right.
It's going to be violent for the sake of violence.
Yeah. I also love that Braun Strowman sounds the way he sounds. Like he has
his
voice.
Okay.
Because one of the issues with Brock Lesnar is he has a very high pitched voice. Right. That voice shouldn't come out of that monster. Is basically what it is.
Well, that's what everybody said about Tyson for all those years.
Right.
You know what
Same
I mean?
deal. Same deal. Braun Strowman, we're just like, I'm gonna murder people.
So you feel Braun Strowman has a lovely singing voice.
I do too. I do. I want to see him in the revival of Rent.
Overall, what's your takeaway for No Mercy?
I think that we're going to see what WWE really wants to do with Roman Reigns, because the future of the company depends on whatever happens with the John Cena Roman Reigns match. If he is truly the next guy, how does this match look? Does he lose to John Cena in this first go around?
Sure.
Does he not lose to John Cena in this first go around? So how does he? Is there any character progression? Because a lot of the issues with Roman Reigns is that he got plucked out of the Shield and he hasn't changed.
So the #1 bullet point for No Mercy is going to be the character of Roman Reigns.
Right. And where do we go from here? Because we can't keep going down the path we're going down, because it's so divisive and people love him, people hate him, but both sides can't find a middle ground with this guy. And it's like, we spend a lot of time on Twitter and the New Age Insiders, and the Roman supporters.
Is a big supporter of Romans on Twitter.
Yeah, right.
Go to Twitter, it's fun.
Yeah, and you have half of the people who just attack you for liking him, and half the people that attack you for hating him. Yeah. So if you mention Roman Reigns, half of Twitter is going to explode on you.
And it's that old saying, though: boo him, cheer him, he's putting asses in seats.
Right.
Period.
Right.
And it's like when I used to do the Mike and Billy show. It's an old podcast I did. We had Roman on 3 times. Those were our highest rated episodes.
Right.
Every time we had him on, the numbers went through the roof. So whether it was Roman Reigns supporters or detractors, they were listening.
Right.
And that's what's important. You're actually watching and you're reacting. If you went to get a beer, you went to the bathroom, or you just sat on your hands, then they would change him.
Right.
But right now, he's getting a reaction. I mean, that post-WrestleMania, he stood there, said 5 words.
Right.
And just let people yell at him.
Right. Well, and you look at the John Cena stuff.
Like you said, that's a polarizing character.
Well, it's like you have people that were, for lack of a better term, tricked into cheering for John Cena, which something 5 to 8 years ago would have
been. They've been trying for years to do this.
Right. And so now, you know what I mean? And it's just like, you look at the John Cena, Roman Reigns, and it's like, look, if you are going to be the man, you have to beat the man.
Woo!
Woo!
So glad Rick's doing better.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get on. Now that we've covered No Mercy tomorrow on the WWE Network, let's get on to our wrestling rant this month. Mike and Liam's top 5 managers, obviously in honor of Bobby the Brain Heenan. Rest in peace, Brain. Liam, I'm going to defer to you.
Okay. You look at a lot of the managers, and it's sad because it seems to be a lost art, right?
It really is.
It seems to be a lost art, with the exception of Paul Heyman, who just feels like half of Brock Lesnar at this point.
Well, Paul will tell you he's an advocate.
He's an advocate.
I am an advocate, sir.
He's an advocate. That is true. So, but looking at him, he's really the last real manager. You look at somebody like Titus O'Neil.
It's tough to
Titus
think of one.
O'Neil, he's a manager.
He's the closest thing.
And so it's like, that's a huge drop off from Paul Heyman, who's on every top 5 list, to Titus O'Neil, who I think if I didn't mention him as a manager,
it took you a while to find his name.
Right, you wouldn't think of him as a manager.
Okay. Now, is there a distinction between manager and valet, or do you feel they're the same?
I feel that they're the same, just because I feel like if you're a person that accompanies somebody to the ring...
So you would put Sable in the same category as you would Paul Heyman?
Right, I would, because they're there to fill a role as like a sidekick to the wrestler, and that's what that is. Whether we call them a valet or we call them a manager, I think it really is the same thing, because I would put Chyna in that as well with Triple H.
Again, though, and Chyna was very much more a bodyguard than she was even a manager. So it was like, technically, but it's all the same thing. If you stand outside the ring more than you get in the ring, we consider you a manager. Okay, fine. Go ahead. Give me your 5.
Bobby the Brain Heenan. I'd probably put him at number 1. The man was so smart and so fast on his feet. He really kind of defined what that position was. The Grand Wizard is another one. Now I didn't get a chance to watch either of those men live, because by the time I got to wrestling, they were both long gone. But they, going back and watching tapes, they're very fun. They're, very entertaining to watch. Paul Heyman is on that list, and then I'd put Chyna on that list too, because having her get in there and be with Triple H did exactly what it was designed to do. Get heat on Triple H and, have people turn on him and hate him. And she did a fantastic job playing that role.
Okay. Now, my top 5, I actually put them in order. Numbered them down. Top 5. I got my whole deal here. Honorable mention for me first goes to Sherry Martel.
Okay.
I feel Sensational Sherry, as far as a female manager, when she was managing the Macho Man, when she was managing Shawn Michaels, was unbelievable. Her stuff in WCW with Flair and Harlem Heat, she was someone that really got it. And for a woman, she bumped like a champ. She bumped off of cages. She was everything you wanted a female manager to be. Plus, especially in that Macho Man run, once Elizabeth got involved, she was the great, great counter to Elizabeth. Number 5 on my list, Sunny.
Okay.
She was a manager of champions.
Don't look her up on the internet.
Oh, please do. Please do. Sunny's fantastic on the internet. She supports her fans. But her wrestling career, Sunny was a manager of champions.
Yes.
Every time there was a tag team champion during her run, she was probably involved some way or another. I mean, the Body Donnas, you had the Smoking Guns, the Godwins, LOD 2000 in 1998.
That's right.
So I feel Sunny is an appropriate number 5 to start off this list. Number 4, Jim Cornette.
Okay.
Now, Jim Cornette has either managed everybody, or if he wasn't managing them, he's been in a feud with everybody.
Right.
But one of the most natural, for an insider term, heat seekers in the business. He could get a crowd to hate him like that.
Yeah.
The guys talked about, back in the 80s, having to carry a gun in his car because fans would try to kill him. He can't, right now he's having the problems with GFW. He can't go to Canada because of assault charges that are, way back in the 80s. He's got a record, most of it stemming from those audiences.
Okay.
At least that's his point of view, which he has many of. Go look him up on the internet.
Yeah.
Number 3, Jimmy Hart. Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart.
Yeah.
Jimmy managed so many. First of all, he was a major player in the Andy Kaufman, Jerry Lawler feud, which was huge in that era. Greg the Hammer Valentine, Ted DiBiase, IRS, the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, the Honky Tonk Man.
That's right.
He's Hulk Hogan's actual real life manager. Like, it's not a gimmick.
Right.
He actually,
in the same way that
like, if
Paul
you wanna,
Heyman is
Brock
Lesnar.
If you want to book Hulk Hogan for an interview, you talk to Jimmy Hart first.
Right.
Legitimately. Plus, he managed all these people, the Hart Foundation, Dino Bravo, and he had a different airbrush jacket and megaphone for every single one of them.
Yeah.
I loved it. And back in the 80s, when he would manage multiple people on a pay-per-view, he did more costume changes than anybody.
That's true.
It was fantastic. Jimmy Hart, number 3. Number 2, Paul Heyman. As we said, he is an advocate. I'm not a manager, I am an advocate, sir.
Right.
Okay, fine, you're an advocate. That's just because he wants to be the best, and as we all know, Bobby Heenan is the best manager.
Yeah.
There you go. But, I mean, he has managed a record 5 WWE champion.
Yeah.
He's got Brock Lesnar, Big Show, Kurt Angle, RVD, CM Punk.
Yeah.
5. That's huge for having that record distinction.
Well, it's also, it's very interesting. Paul Heyman's a guy that came in and joined a guy like CM Punk, who one of his best attributes is the fact that he's such a good talker.
Right.
And for him to come in and basically take the people's champion, hashtag gimmick infringement, and take the people's champion and make him a legitimate bad guy.
Right.
Is such a,
It's an attribute.
Right, such a positive thing that Paul Heyman
That's
had
what
the
a
ability
manager
to do.
does.
Right, is be able to play however, people want to like Brock Lesnar, but Paul Heyman does a great job of steering them away.
Right.
And that's, that's a testament to Paul
All
Heyman.
through the gift of gab.
Right.
And that's not even talking about the stuff he did in WCW.
Right.
He managed a guy
Paulie D.
Paulie dangerously managed a guy called Mean Mark Callis.
Yeah, he did.
For those of you, that's the Undertaker.
Yeah.
A red-headed, he actually looked a lot like you.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, a little taller.
Dad?
But that, of course, the Dangerous Alliance, which was very reminiscent of the Heenan family on down south.
Right.
They had Arn Anderson. They got, Rick Rude, Larry Zabisco, Bobby Eaton, and a guy named Stunning Steve Austin. Might have heard of him.
No, I never heard of him.
It was fantastic. There was a War Games that they did with the Dangerous Alliance versus Sting's Crusaders.
Friends?
I don't know. It was a terrible name that Sting had on his team, but it was
Sting and Friends?
Sting and Friends. Yeah, it was a Saturday morning cartoon. Sting and Friends versus Dangerous Alliance, and they worked so well. They all just clicked on those cylinders there.
Right.
And it was fantastic, and just again, such an attribute to Paul Heyman.
Right.
Number 1, I feel that he's number 1 on pretty much everybody's list.
Yeah.
Bobby the Brain Heenan, and it's not just because he just passed. It's because he truly is the greatest wrestling manager of all time. I mean, I've made a list of the people he managed. This isn't even half of it.
Right.
I just picked out the names that people would know. There is, you go to his Wikipedia, and it's just a list. It's multiple scrolls to find everybody he's managed. He got people to hate Andre the Giant.
Right. Right.
A heel manager, that is your job. You got to get the crowd to hate the guy you're managing, and everybody loved Andre.
Right.
Until Bobby sided with him.
Yeah.
The Heenan family ran the WWE back in the 80s. I mean, they had King Haku. Okay, Haku, one of the most dangerous men in the world, legitimately. I mean, the Brainbusters. When the Horsemen came over, they went straight to Bobby Heenan. Ric Flair, he came from WCW, went straight to Bobby Heenan.
Right.
These are guys that didn't need, like you said, a mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Ric Flair doesn't need anybody to talk for Ric Flair, but Bobby Heenan just added that extra thing because when someone like Ric Flair comes over, there is that group that's going to cheer for him.
Right.
Not if he's with Bobby Heenan. And one of my favorite things about Bobby Heenan was not only was he managing all these people, at a certain point he was doing color commentary on pay-per-view, leaving the booth and going down to manage a match and then coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, he was playing double duty on those shows for so long. And I mean, the teaming of him and Gorilla Monsoon, was there a better commentary team?
His reaction to when Shawn Michaels threw Jannetty through that window is...
He dove through the barbershop window.
Without missing a beat. Look at that coward trying to escape through the window.
He tried to jump through the window.
Yeah.
He was so quick, so witty. I mean, I don't want to say probably or one of he's the most witty person in the history of wrestling.
Yeah.
And just sharp. Whenever something would happen, and it wasn't the heavily produced commentary back then. It was, you were on the ball, and whatever was happening, and he was going to talk about it.
Right.
The humanoids, I mean, just the little essence of Bobby Heenan was just, that's why he is number one.
Right.
With a bullet, absolutely number one. That's my top 5 wrestling managers of all time, in honor, of course, of the late, great Bobby the Brain Heenan. Rest in peace, Brain. Anything else, Liam?
No.
No, you're good?
I'm good.
All right, well, we're going to be back here in 2 weeks. Hell in a Cell. Whoa. We're going to see the outcome of Jinder Mahal versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I can't do it with a straight face, man.
I know.
And I was the biggest supporter of Jinder Mahal's title run. I really wanted it to work. You can go back and watch the videos. I really wanted Jinder Mahal to work. I thought they were doing great things with him and Randy Orton, and then that ended, and it just had no more steam.
Yeah. It's over, man.
It's
game
really,
over.
Game over, man.
Game over.
However, we also are going to get in Hell in a Cell Charlotte and Natalya, and that's going to be the match of the night for me. That one should close the show.
The match of the night for me is going to be Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens in a Hell in a Cell. Because
there is that too.
Shane's going through the cage.
Oh yeah, well, obviously.
Because that's how we do things.
Yeah, because he just invokes Sam Jackson from Pulp Fiction in his promo. What was it? Brave vengeance and furious anger, those who attempt to poison and destroy my father.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
Insane. But
watching Kevin Owens beat up Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon taking a headbutt like a champ.
Like a champ.
If I went into the ring, I'd probably be like, hey, can you ease up on the headbutt a bit? No, Vince leans into it.
Yeah, he's like
a soccer player. Good for Vince.
That just shows you how much confidence they have in Kevin Owens.
Sure.
Because if Vince McMahon is going to let him do that, that's why they're ready to build the company around that guy.
I guess what people have said on the internet about Vince and Kevin Owens just isn't true, huh?
Right.
I guess he does like him.
Yeah.
Despite how he's shaped.
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah, I think he just sees the next bad guy he can build his company around.
Kind of hell of a promo this week. So Hell in a Cell, 2 weeks, right back here. I am Mike Wendt, Liam Stryker. Follow us on Twitter at Mike Wendt, at Liam NAI for all of that wrestling show fun and shenanigans. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye, everybody.